Okay, now I'm going to show you how to disassemble the ABS unit. This unit I received as a donation from a very nice guy named Paul Howard. I already opened it up, so it was already disassembled, but I put it back just to show you how it's going to be parted at each step. So, what we'll start with is the computer side, which has 4 bolts, and I already changed the original bolts, as I mentioned in some other recording, with a regular one that is a hex head, and I'm going to open them. Okay, now the computer case will just come out, and as you see, it's connected with all the wires right now, and you will very careful take out these cables. If you jiggle a little, they will just pop up very easily. You will not be able to put them in the reverse order because they are keyed, so this is an easy task for you. Then we'll take out the cable, so you will see there are 2 pairs of cables which come to the solenoid inside. There are 2 black wires. They are not polarized. So they came out. And another 2 pair of cables. These ones go to the motors. They are polarized, so they must be put back in a specific order. But you cannot mix the position while they have like a little foot on the side, and it will have to put it in the same direction. I'll use a clamp to ease the taking out. Okay, so the computer part is now detached. You will be careful to inspect the elements to see that especially the transistors here are in perfect condition, not to be blown. And you just look over there for some other defects. But usually these are blown up if there is a let's say the motors will stop working and the current through them will increase. After we have taken out the cover with the computer, you can see inside already. In the bottom side you can see the motors, and at the top here is the sensor, one of them, one set of them. Now you'll see on the top here there are 2 torques and in the middle here there are another two. So there are 4 torques. They are T25, and this bit okay, I put the T25, and the bolts are those that are not to be replaced because they are regular torques, and you will somehow easily unlock and unscrew. I recommend to use, when you unscrew the first time, better to say unlock the bolts. You use this tool because you'll apply the force downwards and then rotate, so it's much more convenient to use than a screwdriver. Now all the bolts were already unlocked, so it's easy now to take them out. Okay, so these are the bolts that you will reuse. This part of the casing is also sealed on the other one, so it will not come out so easily. But if you will put something like a flat screwdriver in the sides all around, and little by little you'll see that it will come off easily. So now I will open it, and this is a piece. Okay, I'll put it away, and now you'll see better inside the motors with their contacts, and here are the 2 solenoids with the electric contacts. Some of these maybe will come out, will remain on the other side, but always be aware and put them back here, because you would not like to mess with them. At this point I had a problem when I took apart my unit, because as you can see inside here there are no more bolts. There is though 2 on the sides that look like bolts, but do not mess with them. They are specific adjusting points, and if you mess with them you'll make your unit unfunctional or out of the correct range of function, and most probably it will not work. So do not mess with these bolts here. Now, usually at this point I tried anything to push this part aside, but it didn't work, although I could see where the 2 parts come together. That you can use a space here, which is right between the reservoir and the unit here. So here if you take a screwdriver and you put it inside, you have to wiggle it a little by little, and the other side also, and you'll see how little by little there is a distance between the pieces which will go larger. So just repeat this procedure side by side, and at some point you'll see that these two parts will separate. Take care that this electric band here will have to get through. So, what we got? This is a part with the most sensible mechanism. So, inside here are the pistons. There is a spring that you can see it through these holes here, and this is adjusted from the factory to specific values. The solenoid activates the pistons inside and will create the opening of the valve and permit the brake fluid to pass. So do not mess with any of the pieces here, because you would not have another possibility to put them back. Also, be aware here there are two metal pieces which in fact are two pipes that enables passage of the brake fluid from one side to another. So you'll put it aside, and this piece you'll put aside. You do not want to mess with it. Now, here is the last part with the motors. You can see why that part came so difficult out, because here are some O-rings, rubber O-rings, which seal the motors in that unit, in that piece. Also inside, if you look inside, you'll see that at the bottom, in bottom of those holes, there are also another two O-rings, rubber O-rings, which will come on this head. So all four filling points will induce some friction, and that is why that piece will come off not so easy. Now we'll take these O-rings out, and just be aware, you might find this as a replacement part, but not from BMW. Maybe you'll find it as a rubber O-ring, and in that case you should know what the size of them. If you find O-rings of this size, I recommend you to change them. If you do not, you'll use the same as you have, but be aware and check them not to be defective in some way, not to be cracked or some other, because they will not do their job. Now I will just unscrew them, because now the bolts are the replacement bolts with hex heads found at Home Depot. By the way, at Home Depot they will not be found regularly on the shelf, but in a drawer. So look for the drawer where the bolts are, and you'll find there the sizes that you need. Okay, so these are the bolts, and down they have similar O-rings, so they will not come out so easily, but you have to move them in little circles until they come out, and pull at the same time. So if you just do like this, you'll see that at some point they will come out. The same with the other. Okay, here it is. And you see here the sealing O-ring. What is more, this is not only the motor, because the motor is this one, but here is the pump. So the top thing is the pump, the hydraulic pump, which is activated by the motor, and through this hose it's doing the circuit in the fluid. So this face is sealed on the bottom here with the two holes, and if you look closer, you'll see that there are some rubber. Then with your finger, you'll see that they are with a raised position. So check for the raised position, because if you do not feel that raised position, they will not secure and seal the place when you put the motors back. I'll show you the O-rings here. So this is the O-ring. They are all the same size. Now we arrived to the motors, and I have to tell you that these two motors are the motors that were installed on my unit. So at least one of them is defective. Which one I could guess by the way they look. So if you inspect the two, you'll see that the one on your left is dirty, and the one on the right it's not. It looks like a metallic powder which was deposited on the surface, and I'm going to open this one to see how it looks inside. As I told you, this is not only the motors. In the top part is the pump. So first of all, I will separate the two from the bolts which are here. For this, we will need a Torx T15. For opening the pump, we'll need after that a Torx number 10, T10. Now, with the T15, I think it was better to use this one. It will be much more easier. Okay, now we'll separate the two. It smells bad. And yes, exactly what I thought. You can see here what's inside. Okay. Just as a matter of precaution, I will mark the position in which the pieces are mounted together. For the top part, there is no need for that because here there are some only position in which you can put it. That's because of the holes in which these bolts are to be screwed in. Okay, let's see now. Let's mark here first. Now, let's see how can I part this out. Ho, ho, ho. Well, I suppose that explains everything. Yeah, right. Now I can understand also the smell from the electronic part when I first opened the unit. I felt this smell, powerful smell of burning plastic, and now I can see why. There is a lot of dust inside, and the problem is if this dust is metallic, it will stick on the metal case. So you have to clean everything, scrub the inside, and all this metal dust must be taken out. Now with the rotor, it will be a tricky part. I'll try to brush it a little. To see exactly how much the damage is. Well, what I can see here is not something very nice. There is a problem with the copper collector. and it looks like it is worn very hard, very hard. It rotates too easily, so that's a bad sign. And if I can look into the light, I can see that the contact between the carbon bars and the collector is almost inexistent. So I do not think that can be repaired. It must be only replaced. So just to be sure, because this is a documentary about how it should be and what we can do to repair, I opened also this motor because I know this one works, and compare it with the other. I have presented you the first motor, which is worn out, and again here you can see that it's rotating so easy because there is no friction inside the collector, between the collector and the connecting carbon contacts. So besides that, the collector is worn out, so the diameter is smaller, and unless this friction carbon contacts are replaced, this cannot be reused. I opened the other motor, which is in much better condition. If you can see, it's very clean. The collector is perfect, and of course the movement it's okay, so you can feel the friction from the collector, so the contact on the collector is in order. And the last thing, this is a pump, and I will just open it for educational purposes. It works, I'm very sure of it. But let's see exactly how it's inside. So I will use the Torx number 10, T10. So the bolts will come off very easy. And what you should do is open it to the side, like this. If you look here, you'll see some little pieces of metal, and those pieces of metal is what will make the pressure of the fluid by rotating the disc from inside. So do not mess with it. You can just check it, so it's okay. This usually will not worn out. Do not drop them because they have to be put in the right order, to be the right size and in the right place. Even they look the same, by wearing out, they will fit perfectly in their place, not another one. So this is the other part, nothing interesting here, just the holes. And now I'm going to put this back, so also you'll put it on the side here. It will be like this. And one more thing, this piece here, which is white, is not a plastic piece, it's a ceramic piece, so do not use too much force when you put the bolts in place, because you can break it. Or do not let it come off and hit another thing that will damage the ceramic. So, as I said, this is the pump. I'm going to put them back together. First the motor. And now I'm going to put the pump. As I told you, there is a specific position in which it will fit. Okay, and now I'm going to put this back, and by turning a little I'll find the right spot. Okay, this one. I'll change to torque 15. Just checking to be okay. Not too much force, but either not to let it loose. Okay, so this motor is okay. I'll check rotating. And I can feel it rotate. Another way to check it is to put 12 volts motorcycle battery. You'll see that it's marked here, the polarity. You'll see a plus sign right here near this pole, and of course the other one is minus. So if you want to check by putting a battery on, just put two wires from the battery to the motor, and just touching the terminals, you'll see that the motor will rotate. So this is okay. I cleaned it, so it's good to be used again. About this one, I'm going to put it together in order to put the unit back, but this will not be a working unit because this motor is defective. So I'm going to put this back. There is a little problem here because the rotor easily rotates and it has to come in a specific slot to connect with the pump. So I had to block the rotor first in order to find the right position. Now, because I know the motors come this way, okay, the other one should be in a position like this regarding the terminals. So I can put the bolts near that position and rotate a little until I will find exactly the place. I already found it. So it was exactly that one. So here is the defective motor, and I put a mark on it just for future reference to know. And we'll come now back to the unit and build it back together. Update regarding the bad motor. I found out that the powder which was inside the motor and also a little outside was in fact the threaded brushes that were totally worn out, combined with shredded copper from the collector. It was a mixture between carbon dust and metal dust. That just had as a result that this unit will be not usable again because the collector is with the diameter diminished, and even if the brushes are changed, it will be a problem because they will be again worn out very quickly because of the collector, which will be like a file. So now we'll go deeper and we'll open up everything else. So we have to take out the cap from the reservoir. There are 6 bolts. So I will open them. Don't forget this metal bar here to put it back in place. And here is the cap. There is a sealing gasket around, which usually it's in order. Some other variants, like my ABS unit, has in place here two contacts which will, with two floaters that will see the level in the reservoir and signalize to the unit if the level is too low. This one doesn't. Additional information, this reservoir cap is without contacts because this unit, which I was experimenting with, is not meant to stay horizontally but vertically. So this is its normal position of working. So of course in this position it doesn't need floaters horizontally. Okay, inside you can see there are two rubber rings, two sealing rings. I'll take them out. They rest here on the two pistons here, and these two pistons also, which was skipped before, here there are two O-rings. These two O-rings are another diameter than the other that I presented when sealing the motors inside. So there is one here, there is one here. So for two motors there are four in total. All four are identical, but they are not identical to these ones. So if you need to change all six, you have to know the right dimensions. I will make a video especially for this to indicate the right dimensions. This one, unfortunately, I couldn't find, so I hope you get lucky enough to use the same. We'll go further, and the last piece that we can take out from here are these two output connectors. You can unscrew them using a 15 wrench. So it will just come out, and you'll see that at the bottom they have a filter, a plastic filter. So when liquid goes through, it will be isolated, filtered from the inside, not to come in the unit some debris or whatever. Also, there are some O-rings here which usually will be okay because they are not wearable parts, so this will not be a problem. But you'll just check to see if you do not have anything like a debris inside, and you'll clean it up. You'll do the same with the other one. It's the same. So just for you to know, these connectors go to the wheels circuits. This one for the front wheel circuit, this one for the rear wheel circuit. And do not forget the rings for sealing the pump. So these rings are used to seal the face of the pump in order to let the fluid flow in the right direction and do not interfere with skipping the liquid. I also will give the dimension in another video. And that is all. We just take care that anything is clean inside and cleaned very well, not clean, but take care not to damage either the rings here, do not scratch them or otherwise affect them. In this part, there are the command inlines. So this one you will take out also with a 15 millimeters wrench, and because it will not let by this big piece here, maybe you will need also a locking plier just to continue the rotation until you'll take out. So also here there are some O-rings, and inside you can see at this unit there are two springs. I don't know if you see too well. Which rest here on the top of the inlet. So again, these are the inlets from the command circuit, this one from the hand lever, this one from the foot lever. And last but not least, these two pieces here, which are like relief pressure pieces. After you take this out, you can use 27 millimeters tubular key, and this will enable you to take this out, and here how it looks inside. What you should know is that this piece here, if you press it, you will see that it will go a little backwards. So it will open a valve in order to relieve the pressure. So when the pressure is too high in the command circuit, it will relieve that pressure. Also for the other one, they are identical. So you'll check both of them and you look them not to be stuck. That is the main point here. You'll see that they are not stuck. And how it looks inside. And that is all, because here there is nothing you can take out except these pins here. These are the solenoids which will activate the pistons, and inside you can see the pistons with some springs, and there is also a ball that fills the way out from the piston. So if you press here, you'll feel the play of the piston, and that will close the valve here and activate the circuit corresponding from the wheel. So this is all, nothing to do here. You don't want to do anything with this. Also, there is a gasket here at the bottom. I took it out. It's usually it's stuck here. This will be a problem if it is not sealed correctly, because the fluid from high pressure can come through this unit backwards to the electronic, and you do not want to happen that. So take care to be sure that this gasket here seal correctly this area when you put everything back. A thing that came to my attention is that exactly for this unit, the tips from the pistons where these sealing rings are set are the same diameter, inside and outside. On my unit, which is slightly different than this one, I saw two differences. First of all, these two are rotating in my unit. In this unit, they are not. And I see here a very big piece that in my unit is not so big, and perhaps it's another design that in my unit this case of the piston can rotate a little, both of them. Also, the pistons, the heads of the pistons here in my unit are not the same. They are different sizes. So we have parted out the whole unit, and we saw what happened with it. We cleaned it, changed the gaskets, the O-rings when necessary, and now we'll have to re-put everything back together. But this is another video, so thank you for watching.